It's time for The Breakaway, presented by Frontier Communications.
Jake, you guys spoke about Marco Farfan in the first segment, a teenager. You also joined the Timbers as a teenager. Your debut, though, in 2011 wasn't as planned. You subbed in for Aiden Brown, your current goalkeeping coach. After he went down in Toronto, he joked on Talk Timbers this week about leaving his hamstring out on the field for you. What do you remember about that moment?
It was quite funny, really. I remember, you know, during the first half, he kind of kept looking over at the bench, and I was kind of sitting there. I was like, I don't know what he needs. Does he need some more water? Like, he kept, you know, making gestures, and then he came off at halftime and thought, said to me, you know, get ready, kid. You might have to come on. And I was like, whoa, hold on a minute here. So obviously, you know, what happened, and I got the chance to go on at halftime. But you know, you never want to see anyone get hurt. Especially not Aiden, you know, he's a good friend of mine, but, you know, it was my opportunity to get out there and play some minutes.
And what's that moment like for a professional athlete when you're told you're going on and making your professional debut? What's the first thing in your head?
I didn't really have too much time to think in that situation. You know, you had about 10 minutes to warm up and then you're on the field. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience, especially because, you know, 3 or 4 months earlier I was playing PDL. You know, and 2 years before that, less than 2 years before that, I was, you know, potentially not going to play soccer anymore. Right. So it was pretty cool experience. So to get out there and get on the field and get my first minutes underneath the belt.
So after that season, Aiden retired. Did you guys stay in touch at all over the next couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. Aiden's, you know, he's been a massive part of my career. He's probably the biggest mentor as far as a goalkeeper I've ever had. So yeah, we stay close, definitely. You know, I would always call him about advice or, you know, talk to him as much as I could about goalkeeping and other things too, you know, on and off the field. So yeah, he was definitely a massive resource, and you know, he's a good friend.
So he's hired in 2015 as the goalkeeping coach for the Timbers. What was your initial reaction to hearing that news?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, I've got a good relationship with Aiden. You know, it's a different relationship now. You know, you have to kind of switch things up. It was sad to see Mike Toshak go too. He was a great coach and a great guy. I really enjoyed working with him. But, you know, I was really happy that they were replacing him with Aiden. He's a guy who's got a wealth of experience. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And, you know, if you have a question, he can answer it because he's been through it. He's been there and done that. So. Yeah, no, it was a pretty exciting time. I was pretty happy that Aiden was the one stepping in.
You mentioned he's probably one of the biggest mentors to you. He actually arranged, I think it was right after MLS Cup that winter, for you to go for a few weeks, train in Norway with one of his biggest mentors. Mm-hmm. What was that experience like? It
was great, yeah. Obviously, I jumped at the chance of that. I was really thankful that he could put that together. So I spent 10 days over in AFK training in Ålesund in Norway, and it was great. You know, I got to train with Frank, a guy who, you know, played a big part in his career, and I can see why. You know, he was brilliant, really good guy, knew what he was talking about, great goalie coach, and you definitely see a lot of Aiden's work he stole from Frank, or borrowing, if you would. But yeah, that was a really good experience, and I got to hear some pretty funny stories about Aiden back there.
I was going to ask, did he give you any good Aiden Brown stories?
Yeah, he did, but I couldn't do that to Aiden. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't break the trust.
All right, that's very loyal of you. So I want to know how Aiden has helped you develop as a goalkeeper, but specifically prepare you for the moments that led to where you are now, when you find out the morning of you're playing in the Vancouver playoff game at home for Adam Kawarse, and then you sub on for Adam Kawarse the following year when he goes down injured. As a goalkeeper, you're sitting on the bench, you're there, but you're not sure if you're really going to play. How does Aiden prepare you or help with that?
I mean, there's different, you know, things that contribute to that. I think, you know, as far as a goalie coach, he does a brilliant job of getting us ready physically from the field. But, you know, mentally, he's a guy who, you know, believed in me. He knew that I could play. He knew that I could get the job done. And, you know, I think that confidence that he had in me made me confident too, which was a big part of it. So when those, you know, opportunities came up, I knew I was ready for it, and you know, he did too, and so that made my transition a lot easier.
Jake, last thing for you. I've heard some rumblings through the grapevine that you guys have gone fishing together. So I'm assuming that's where some of the real bonding has happened. Anything stand out from those trips you've taken?
That's another story, but I won't betray the trust. No, yeah, obviously, all I'll say is that I'm not the best fisherman, so he has a lot of patience putting up with me. So I think that prepared him for also coaching me.
Next breakaway segment you're on, we're talking fishing. Thank you so much for coming on Timbers in 30 this week. We're looking forward to seeing you against Houston this weekend.